Something's wrong.
This
with the
meeting is
audio.
being recorded.
Okie doke, we start bidding today.
Wow.
This is so exciting. And we're going to start bidding by talking about counting points. And we'll talk about the why and the how and the implications. Some topics will do more, some will do less. All righty. I did want to mention last week, the defense hands, defense is really hard. I think in the room that I was in, there were 4 tables. I think we played 4 hands. So that's 16 total hands got played. I think maybe 2 of them, the defense set the contract. Because defense it's hard. And the secret to success on defense is picking these basic guidelines and sticking with them. And from that, you build good habits. I decided there's a group I play with, or I host a table for on Tuesdays, and they have, somewhere between 30 and 100 master points. They've been playing for years. And I used the defense hands that we had from last week. And at the end of the thing, they said, oh my God, I learned so much looking at that stuff. And I was showing all 4 hands so they could see how it fit together. So defense is challenging, but if you have good habits, defense gets easier and easier and more rewarding. And the habits are play second hand low, in tempo. You're just going to play low. Cover an honor with an honor. That's kind of the exception to playing second hand low. In third seat, so Robin is on lead. I'm sitting in third seat. She leads a small spade and I have the queen, jack, 10 of spades. I play the 10. And then when declarer wins the ace or whatever, Robin can maybe figure out that I've got the jack and the queen. Lead through dummy's strength and around and up to dummy's weakness. This is all the alligator jaws. If dummy's got a high card or 2 and you lead through it, maybe partner's got the alligator jaws and can chomp on it. And if dummy is on your right and is going to be the 4th hand to play, you like to pick a card where dummy has really tiny cards, because then dummy can't chomp on your partner's card. And then our favorite, stick to your opening lead agreements. And on opening lead, don't lead an unsupported ace. And versus a suit contract, don't lead away from an unsupported ace. It's fine to lead low from an ace against no trump. So I'm not going to spend time on those today, but I thought it was worth doing a quick reminder. So today we start bidding, and we're going to spend 13 weeks on a variety of bidding topics. And I wanted to remind you why we built the curriculum this way, because this is how people usually learn bridge. They learn the mechanics. You got 13 cards, there are 4 suits, you play in a circle clockwise, and then the high card takes the trick, all that kind of stuff. And then they start talking about bidding. And then for the rest of their lives, they talk about bidding. And during the rest of their lives, they spend about this much time on declarer play and about this much time on defense. If I had picked, fewer point lines, I could have made them lower, which would have been closer to reality. Declarer play and defense are really fun and they're really important. And one of the big reasons that we approach the game this way is that we hope that early focus on card play, the taking a finesse, hoping the suit splits 3-3 so your 4th one is good. All of that builds confidence and it builds foundation for later on. So that's why we've spent 11 weeks without really talking about bidding, and also why we have shown some bidding when we go to play the hands, because for 11 weeks, we've gotten a little bit of socialization. The coach says, well, that person had an opening bid, they bid a heart. their partner had a fit but was weak and so bid 2 hearts. And so now we're going to start to put some kind of quantification around all that. Many of you who've been in these sessions before have heard me say that bidding is a conversation. Sometimes we tell partner something, and sometimes we ask partner something, and we're always listening to partner, and we're always eavesdropping on the opponents. And the challenge with this bidding conversation is the language has only 15 words, right? You can only say or put a card out or whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a suit or no trump, pass, double, redouble. So that's a pretty limited vocabulary. But here's a typical conversation. I'm just going to do the English part of it. I have 5 or more hearts, and I'm strong enough to open the bidding. Partner says a spade. I'm strong enough to say something, and I have at least 4 spades. 2 hearts. I'm a minimum opener, and I have actually 6 or more hearts, not just 5. And then partner says pass, and partner's saying, okay, let's play in 2 hearts. So that's a typical bidding conversation.
What does minimum opener mean?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
What we're going to talk about later is you need about 12 points to open. And if you have about 16 to 18 and a good 6-card suit, you would jump to 3 hearts to tell partner, I'm not just minimum, I got a pretty good hand. But we'll quantify all that later. Great question. Your questions are always spot on. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to learn to translate combinations of these words into English. And it's going to take us quite a few weeks to do that. And beyond that, a lifetime, if you wish. The goals of bidding are actually quite simple. You want to answer 2 questions. What suit do we want to play in? And how high should we bid? That's the only 2 things that we really care about. Should we play in 1 no trump? Should we play in 7 spades? These are the only things we really care about. And what we're going to talk about today is counting points. And counting points helps us answer that second question, because counting points helps us estimate how strong our hand is, how powerful our hand is. Mark said he started out with 5 really good hands. And I mean, how good were they? How do you know that they're good hands? That's what we're going to talk about. And I guess I feel obligated to make a quick comment. There are big scoring bonuses if you bid and make 3 no trump as opposed to 2 no trump, or 4 spades or 4 hearts as opposed to 3 spades or 3 hearts, and same with the minor suits. So we're always wondering, can we make game? And that's one of the challenging parts about bidding, is talking with your partner about, can we get up to game or should we stop? And then there's this thing called slam. If you bid and make 6 of something, you get an even bigger bonus. And so we're always curious, how high should we go? Can we get to game or slam, or do we want to stop below that? Below game is called a part score. That's legacy terminology from Rubber Bridge. So to help everybody relax a little bit about this whole bidding thing, I want to mention that it's a combination of art and science. And sometimes funny things happen. This is a hand that Dana and I played in New Orleans. So let's just take a look at it, get a little kind of situated. Looks like north and south have an 8-card diamond fit. Looks like north and south have more points, more high card points, more aces and kings and things like that. East and west, I mean, look at West's heart suit. That's a beautiful heart suit. 6 hearts, ace, king, queen, and partner's got 3 of them. I mean, this is amazing. And the contract ended up being 2 hearts. Unfortunately, the declarer was north.
Oh.
This is a true story. So if you're ever playing and bidding, and then you end up in a contract and dummy comes down and you think, oh my goodness, we're probably not in the best place. I would just like you to think of this image. Okay. So, Two Hearts by North. Needless to say, the contract did not make.
Were you and Dana north or south, east or west?
Oh, come on.
Do you really want to know?
Yeah, just so we know who we're rooting for.
We were north-south.
Okay.
So we played in a 3-1 heart fit. The day before, we had played in a 3-1 club fit. So it was nothing, nothing surprising to us. So stuff happened.
I think this shows the strength of your marriage.
I was just wondering how that card ride home was.
How did you end it? 2 hearts.
One of the things that we'll talk about, not nearly today, is that most bids are, quote, natural, and some bids are artificial. You make a bid that doesn't say what it sounds like it says. And at one point in this, North bid 2 hearts, and South thought it was a heart suit, and North thought it was saying something else. And that's what happened.
What did
And,
it say?
and, no damage, no bloody noses, no yelling. I will be clear, we did not make the contract. It was particularly hard when they started out with 6 heart tricks. So today we're going to talk about something called counting points. And the reason we count points is to help us know how high to bid. That's the why. And then we'll do the how today. Later on, we're going to talk about the guidelines for knowing whether you have sufficient strength to get up to game or get up to slam. And we'll talk about how your points help you decide, gee, should we just stop? Should I invite partner to game? Or do I know at this point that we've got enough strength that I need to make sure we get to game? So today,
Can I ask a question?
of course.
We're the kind of points that you're counting is to see if how high we should go, like you just said. Should we go to game? And that's different from hand evaluation counting points.
Well, I view counting points as the most important part of hand evaluation. So we'll see what I mean.
Okay, I haven't looked at your PowerPoint yet.
So I want to start out with a little bit of background. So Einstein was famous for doing thought experiments. There's 2 railroad tracks and you got a train going at 9/10 of the speed of light and the other train going at 9/10 of the speed of light. And you're sitting on one of the trains. How fast do you think the other train is going? Stuff like that. So he did thought experiments. So here's our thought experiment. Suppose you're not playing online because all 13 cards appear online. You're playing in person. And you're like my grandmother, you pick up your hand 1 card at a time. And these are your first 12 cards. So you got 5 spades, ace, king. You got the king of hearts, the queen of diamonds. That's a pretty nice start to a hand, I think. So here's the thought experiment. Which card would you rather have? There's 1 card left on the table to pick up. Would you rather find the jack of clubs or would you rather find the 2 of spades?
Is it a suit contract?
Well, there's nobody's bid yet. Great question.
Oh.
Nobody's bid yet. So you're just picking up your cards. So if you have the jack of clubs, you end up with this. Yeah, question.
I'd say 2 of spades.
Yeah, no kidding. And we'll see that. Jack of clubs makes your hand look like this. 2 of spades makes your hand look like this. I think the top hand is a way stronger hand. So how many of you have heard, count aces as 4, kings as 3, queens as 2, and jacks as 1?
Right.
Everybody, right?
Yeah.
So if this jack of clubs is supposedly worth 1, I think adding this 2 of spades to the spade suit has got to be worth 1. Okay, so this is background and motivation for part of our point counting. Clearly, aces, kings, queens, you know, and to some extent jacks are great cards to have. But length is wonderful. Length will create tricks. If you end up in a spades contract, this is a lot of tricks. You know, maybe you lose one spade trick, you probably take 5 spade tricks with that hand. Length is wonderful. It makes tricks. And that extra spade, in my view, is worth more than the jack of clubs. So now let's flip things around. And now we're not the opener, we're the responder. So our partner has opened 1 heart. And let's look at this. Maybe this is our hand. We look at it and we think, partner's got a heart suit. I've got 3 hearts to the king. That's really good. I've got an ace. I've got a king. I've got a queen. This is a nice, it's a nice supporting hand. Partner's going to be thrilled that I have this hand. Now I'm going to change the hand. I'm going to move 1 card. I'm going to take that 5 of clubs and throw it away. And I'm going to stick in the 5 of diamonds. So I didn't change any of the high cards. I didn't change your length in the heart suit. Which hand would you rather have?
The second one.
The second one. Absolutely. The second hand is way better. Let's think about the club suit. And let's imagine partner has 4 little clubs. With this second hand, partner's going to be able to trump a couple of those clubs over here. Right? And with this hand, partner's probably only going to be able to trump 1. Or let's imagine partner had 3 little clubs. You know, they can trump 1 of them there, but they can trump 2 of them here. And what's the difference? The difference is here we had 2 clubs and here we only have 1. And when we have support for partner's suit, when we have a fit, so that we've got some trump in our hand, when we have shortness, it's going to create tricks. Because partner can use our trumps to win his little cards in this suit. So what have we talked about so far? I mean, pretty clearly aces, kings, queens, those are good things to have in your hand. And if you're thinking about opening the bidding, having a really long trump suit is a good thing. And if partner has bid and you have a fit for partner, then shortness is good. So that's all the background.
Coach Phil, what exactly do you mean by a fit? I don't understand what a fit means.
A fit, that's a great, I'm adding terms to our unwritten glossary. I'll add fit. Fit means the following. Fit means that partner and you have at least 8 cards in a suit.
Okay.
And so it's a good suit to have as your trump suit. Okay. You've got 4, I've got 4, you've got 5, I've got 3.
Okay.
So if you have support for partner, if you have a fit with partner, then shortness can be helpful.
Great. Thank you.
So the stronger the hand, the more tricks we can take, and so the higher we can bid, and maybe bid game or slam or whatever. And we do something that bridge players call counting points to estimate our hand strength. And as we just saw, what is it that we want to count? Well, we want to do something in our counting to reflect our high cards, because they take tricks. And if we're going to be declarer, length in our trump suit is wonderful. So we're going to want to count something for length. And if we're going to be dummy in a suit contract, like partner has a 5-card heart suit and I have 3 of them, if I have shortness in some other suit, that can help partner take tricks. So these are the elements that we're going to care about in counting points. We good to go?
Good to go.
That's the end of the background. Okay. So there's two things to think about. One is you just picked up your hand, maybe you're the dealer or the person on the right of you was dealer and passed, and you're deciding, should I open the bidding or should I pass? So here's the counsel about how to think about that. As opener or potential opener, you want to count your high card points, and that's going to be a representation of your aces and kings and queens. And you want to count length, because from the first thought experiment, we saw length is really good, right?
Mhm.
So length is worth something. So what we're going to do, and we'll practice this on the next page, we're going to look at our high cards and we're going to try and get some kind of an estimate of their strength by counting 4 for each ace, 3 for each king, 2 for each queen, and 1 for each jack. And I'm a fan of certain bands. I am not a fan of Aerosmith. But if I were a fan of Aerosmith, you know, I'd have their picture there. We'd be saying, count this way.
Mhm.
I digress.
I like
length.
Aerosmith.
Hey, I got
And-
this.
And length takes tricks. So we're going to count this way. For the 5th card in our suit, we're going to add a point. Remember when we looked at the example and we said, gee,
Mhm.
you know, I'd rather have another card than the jack. So if we have a 5-card suit, we're going to count 1 point for that. And if we have a 6-card suit, we're going to add a point for the 5th. We're going to add another point for the 6th. And if we have more cards in the suit, we're just going to keep adding a point for every card. And again, we're just trying to get a sense of how powerful our hand is. So let's look at an example. How many high card points do we have here?
Well,
Well,
I see 12. And
Right.
everybody counts different, you know, 4, 7, 10, 12. I tend to look at combinations of cards just because I've looked at them so many times. I tend to say ace, king, king, that's 10, and the queen is 12. And then I count the second time to make sure, because sometimes I make a mistake. So it's 12 high card points. Is there any length in this hand?
Yes.
Yeah, what suit?
it's
In spades.
Spades. How many length points should we add?
one,
1, 2,
How many cards do we have?
I'd add 2.
6.
Yeah, we have 6 cards. So we had 1 for the 5th and another one for the 6th. So I would count this as 12 high card points plus 2 length points. And I would call this a 14-point hand. And the idea is that the number of points is some kind of a surrogate for how good your hand is. It's some way of trying to quantify. I mean, I look at this and I go, that's a good hand. You know, but how good is it? And the idea of counting points is to get an estimate of how good the hand is. So let's do a couple examples. If you're thinking about opening 1 no trump, don't include length points. When you become an intermediate, you'll start thinking about including length points in that situation, but I digress. So let's look at a few examples. First hand. How many high card points?
12.
12. And length points?
2.
2.
Two.
Yeah, there's a 5th spade and a 6th spade. It's the hand we looked at on the page before. It was easy to
Mhm.
copy paste
4.
instead of making a new one.
I
So
see.
Phil, you're not getting any points for shortness, or are you getting to that?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that. And Lee, this is a super important idea that I guarantee won't sit well with everybody. But the person who might be declarer, you don't get to count shortness. The value in your hand is really the length. But if you, Lee, have this 6-card spade suit, and I, as your partner, have 3 spades, if I can use my spades, I should look at the camera. If I can use my spades to trump some of your losers, then the shortness is worth something. So shortness is only worth something in the supporting hand. And we'll get to that. And
Okay,
if that
thank
was
you.
confusing, I'm
No,
sorry.
thank you.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So let's look at another example. How many high card points?
9,
9. Yeah, I tend to look ace, king, queen, that's 9. But you can go 4, 7, 8, 9. That's fine. How many length points?
9.
0. It's a classic 9-point typical hand. How about this one? How many high card points?
15.
16.
16.
I get 16. How many
16.
length points?
3.
Mm-hmm.
3.
16 and 3. It's a 19-point hand. You don't get those very often. That's a wonderful hand. Let's look at this one.
Ooh. Well, which one is it?
How many high card points?
18.
18.
I get 18. How many length points?
1.
1. 19 points. So here are two different 19-point hands. Point count is just an estimate of the strength. I like the top hand way better than the bottom hand.
Oh, yeah, way better.
I mean, suppose I'm playing 3-no trump and they lead a spade. I'm going to rip off the first 9 tricks with nothing in partner's hand. You know, with this one, it's like, hey, where's the aces? Where's the queens? You know, so point count is an estimate of strength. Don't worry about it. Just trust it for now. Later on, you'll start to develop a feel for it. So now we'll turn to Lee's example. When you have support for partner's suit. So Beverly has opened a spade and I have 4-card spade support. I'm going to be the dummy. If I have support for partner's suit, then if I'm short somewhere, if I have voids or singletons or even a doubleton, partner's going to be able to use my trumps to trump her little tiny cards that were otherwise losers. Right? So support, support, which is related to that question of what's a fifth. Support means if partner opens a major and they promised 5 cards, it means you have at least 3. And if a bid came up later in the auction, they only promising 4 cards, we'll get to all this. Then it means 4 cards. It's basically if you have an 8-card fit, then you can count shortness if you have support for partner. And we looked at that before in that second thought experiment, right?
Phil, I have a question here, if I can.
Yes, yes,
Do
please.
you, if you have length as the dummy, maybe not in the trump suit, but in another, or even the trump suit, do you get to count that? If you have
Deborah-
length as the dummy?
Deborah, I love your questions. I have a slide in the appendix that says titled something like hard question. And I was going to title it Deborah Bleemer's question because I knew you'd ask it. But I didn't want to insult you. Or
Oh,
offend
it's
you.
no insult at all. Thank you.
Okay. So I mean, the good questions are the best, right? So we'll probably take a look at that later.
Okay,
The short answer is no.
okay,
The long answer is maybe.
okay.
So shortness can create tricks if declare can trump in your hand. I should have shown a visual example. Maybe I have one, I can't remember. So if you've got a doubleton, you know, maybe partner can trump something in your hand. That's worth something. Let's add a point. If you've got a singleton, remember that example we showed with the 2-card club suit and the 1-card club suit? It looked like maybe you could trump 2 clubs in dummy. And, you know, that singleton is really wonderful. And if you have a void, you can count even more.
But Phil, aren't you adding points now after the dummy hand goes down? So
This is all, Patty, great question. This is all during the bidding. So this is during the bidding.
So,
What-
yeah, okay,
there's-
so you're,
you-
as you respond to your partner.
Exactly.
who
You,
declared
you
something.
you open a spade
Okay,
and I have spade support. I'm going to anticipate being the dummy. And so in evaluating my hand, I should count shortness. Here's a little more complicated. When you open a diamond, I bid a heart, and you have a 4-card heart suit. So you're going to raise me to 2 hearts. I'm going to be the declarer. You're going to be the dummy. You can add points for shortness. So it's kind of during the bidding, you're imagining, am I going to end up as declarer or am I going to end up as dummy? And if I'm going to be dummy, I can add for shortness.
I have a
if we have a
question.
bid.
I have a,
Question?
yeah.
Yeah.
If you, would you do that even if you had responded to your, to the bid with only 3 of the suit? Or would you only do that, you count the shortness?
That's a
Yeah.
that's a great question. If you only have 3 card support, you can't do a ton of trumping.
Mm.
Right? So my guideline is add 1 for a doubleton, 3 for a singleton, and with a void, you can add more, but only if you've got more trumps.
Mm.
So this is a detail that we can not worry about really for right now. Just generally think 1 for doubleton, 3 for singleton. That's a good guideline. Oh, I do have an example. What do you know?
but that
Um,
doesn't hold if you're doing a no Trump hand, does it?
Correct. It's only if it's a Trump, going to be a Trump contract. Thank you, Patty. Excellent. So suppose you hold this hand, you've got 9 high card points. And if partner opens a diamond or a heart or a spade, this singleton in clubs is fabulous, right? You'll be able to trump a couple of clubs in your hand, in dummy. So I would evaluate this hand as 12 points. How do I think about this hand if partner opens a club? I'm way less excited about it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Am I gonna, if trumps are clubs, am I gonna be able to gain any tricks for partner by roughing over here? No.
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 So if partner opens a club, I'm just gonna think of this as 9. But if partner had opened something else, I know we have a fit, at least 8 cards. And I'm gonna add 3 points for the shortness.
What would you say if partner did say club?
I would just start bidding my suits. As a kid, I would have bid a diamond. Nowadays, I bid a heart because clubs and diamonds aren't really suits. Just kidding.
Bill, I have a question, which is, if you do have a void and you don't have 4 or 5 trump,
If I had 3 trump, I'd count it as 3 points. If I had 2 trump, I'd count it as 2 points. Because you're just not going to be able to do a lot of roughing if you don't have a lot of trump.
okay,
Does that make sense?
yes.
The rule of thumb I heard, maybe I should have used this language, is if you have a void, count the number of points that you have in as cards in the trump suit. But I couldn't make it fit on that line. And here's another question that often gets asked, and that's, well, what do I do if I have a short suit and I have like a singleton queen? Is that worth 2 for the queen plus 3 for the singleton? And back in the 60s, my brother said, no, just count one or the other. Count your high card points in that short suit or count the shortness, don't count both. That's a pretty good rule of thumb. Let's look at some examples. Partner opens a spade. How many high card points do we have?
12,
Well,
12. How many shortness points do we have?
9.
0. We don't have a singleton or a doubleton or a void. So I would count this as 12 high card points and no shortness points. I think of this as 12 points in support. Oh, I should have had that word support. Usually we call these support points. So you have high card points and you add shortness, and that's how much your hand is worth in support. Let's look at another one. Partner opens a spade. How many high card points do you have?
5.
5.
Yeah, 5. Do you think we should count any shortness points? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so. We don't have a fit.
This is partner hand.
This is our hand. Partner has opened 1 spade, and this is our hand. So we have 5 high card points, but partner may not be able to trump any clubs. Suppose they lead the ace of spades and a small spade. Boom, our spades are all gone. And good defenders will do things like that. So I would say we don't have a fit yet. I don't know that we have a fit, so I would not count any value of shortness. If partner rebid spades and said he had 6 of them, then I might add a point. But it's 5 high card points and it's nothing for shortness because we don't have a fit, or we don't know we have a fit. You don't have spade support. Partner opens a spade and you have this hand. How many high card points?
16.
16. Any shortness points?
Oh.
Yeah.
One.
I got a Doubleton diamond, so I think it's 16 high card points and 1 for shortness. And I would, classic point count says this is 17.
Phil,
Yes.
question, in the second hand, when you have 5 high card points.
How are you?
Zero shortness, would you then bid pass?
I would, if partner opened a spade, I would pass with this hand.
Okay.
And I would hope that the auction went, then the opponent bids 2 diamonds, 2 hearts, 3 diamonds, 3 hearts. I hope that the bad guys get in trouble.
I missed her question.
Her question, which is, a week or 2 away, is if partner opened a spade and the next person passed, what bid would I make?
Oh, on that hand. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I would pass.
And you wouldn't show the 5 hearts?
No, maybe I'd have a chance to do it later.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of beyond the scope of today. Today is just getting a sense of how valuable is our hand. Let's look at this one. How many high card points?
14.
And remember, partner is open to spade. I got 14 high. How about shortness?
2, 3.
I have a singleton, so that's 3.
3.
So there's a pair of 17-point support hands. I mean, when partner opens a spade and you have these things, you're thrilled. Anybody have a sense of which hand you like better?
Second one.
Second one.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be thrilled to have either one.
I might go with the first one.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. The second one, that shortness is really wonderful. I mean, if partner has 3 little hearts, you're going to lose 3 hearts in the top one and only 1 in the bottom. On the other hand, the top one looks like maybe you can run 5 club tricks. So
I was thinking.
who knows? Who knows?
Phil,
Yes.
your adding point, that only applies to the declarer. Is that correct? When you're adding like one, if you have 5 cards or 6 cards?
Yeah, I mean, what we're thinking about here is that the bad guys are not bidding. And it's just, Jane, it's just you and me. Okay, the bad guys are not bidding, it's just you and me. I'm trying to decide, do I make an opening bid? I'll count my high card points and my length. Then I make an opening bid and you say, oh my goodness, I have support for his suit. I need to evaluate my hand. So I'll count high card points. And if I have any shortness, I'll add to that.
So it's the opening bidder.
It's the opening bidder and the responder, kind of assuming the bad guys are silent.
Thank you.
Mark, how often
Phil.
were the bad guys silent in the game you played?
Phil, would you go back to the last slide 1 second? This is Robin.
Mhm.
Okay, you counted shortness in the top right,
I did.
correct?
I
And you
did.
counted 3 for in the second, and the one below that one.
Yep.
My question is, you only count length points when you have 5 or more?
Well, this is the Deborah Bleemer question.
Okay,
If I'm thinking about opening the bidding, it's one thing. If partner has opened and I have support, I want to kind of look at things differently.
okay,
If partner has opened the bidding and I have support, then shortness is really good. Because she's probably got more trumps than me, so if she can trump things in my hand, it'll add tricks.
So this is always the responder. So this
Correct.
person has not opened.
Correct. Well, again, the situation, Patty, might be I open a diamond, you bid a heart, I raise you to 2 hearts.
But I'm saying in these examples, you've already said.
Oh,
the
in these examples, yes, partner opened a heart, a spade, that was it, yep. So here's how we count points. Opener counts high card points and length. The high cards, ace is 4, king is 3, queen is 2, jack is 1. And because length takes tricks, if you've got a 5-card suit, you add 1. If you have a 6-card suit, you add another one, and so on. And we don't usually add the length points if we're thinking about opening no trump.
If we're thinking about, what did you say?
If we're thinking about opening a no trump.
Okay.
And I've used the phrase dummy to be. So again, Lee opens a spade and I have a 4-card spade suit. I know we're going to end up in spades. She's going to be the declarer. I'm going to be the dummy. So I'm the supporting hand. I'm the dummy to be. And in that case, we're going to count high cards and we're going to count shortness. Is this confusing? Is this okay?
No, it's
Okay.
okay.
Okay. So here's an example where we have a declarer and the dummy. And the contract is 4 spades. So the declarer on the left had opened a spade. How many points did declarer evaluate her hand as having?
12,
10,
12 high and 2 for length,
2 for length, yeah.
right?
14.
14.
And once declarer, the declarer to be, opened a spade, and we're sitting over here with this hand, we look at it and say, we have 9 high, and we get 3 more for shortness. So we would look at this, declarer, the opening bidder, would be thinking 14, and dummy would be thinking 12.
And at some point, you're going to tell us the relevance of these numbers, right?
That's correct.
Game. What
At
makes
some
game,
point I
yeah.
will.
That's
So let's look at this for a minute. Let's think back to declaring a suit contract. So declarer on the left, in a suit contract, what do we count? Winners or
High
losers?
card points and length.
What once we're starting to play the hand,
Losers.
we count losers, right? So how many losers? So we're going to view this from the left hand. How many spade losers do we have?
None.
0.
None.
None.
I mean, we've got
Wait,
10
I'm sorry,
spades and
this
the
is a
ace
dumb
king
question,
queen.
but how do you get to none?
We
Obviously, you
have
have ace,
10
queen.
spades and we have the ace, king, queen.
Yeah,
So they have at most 3.
I see. Okay.
So they play the ace, king, queen, and that's the end.
Got it.
So again, looking at the hand on the left, how many heart losers do we have?
1.
But
Well, let's look at dummy. Dummy has the ace of hearts.
Mhm.
right? So dummies ace of hearts can cover this 9. You know, we can win the king and we can lead the 9 over to the ace, and then we don't have any more hearts. So we have 0 heart losers. So we have 0 spade losers and 0 heart losers. What about the diamond suit?
One.
How many, from West's point of view, how many diamond losers do we have?
One.
One. Yeah, the king kind of covers the 3. You know, we can lead the 3 over to the king, and they can take the ace, but that's it. After that, we're just going to trump them if they try to take them. So far we have 1 diamond loser. How many club losers do we have in the West hand?
Mhm.
3.
3. Is there anything we can do about them? Once we play 1 round of clubs, so we'll call trump
Partner can
first.
Trump.
Yeah, we'll call trump first, probably take 2 rounds. And then we'll lead a little club. And now when we get back in, we lead this club and we trump it. And we lead this club and we trump it. So we lost 1 club trick.
Right.
This is why shortness is so valuable in dummy. So it looks like declare can trump 2 clubs in dummy and make 5 spades. And what we're going to see later on are guidelines. And the guidelines are going to be things like 25 to 26 points is usually enough to make 4 spades or 4 hearts if you have a fit in that suit. So this is why we're going to count points, is because we're going to get some guidelines that say if between you've got 25, 26 and a fit in hearts or spades, you can probably make 4 spades or 4 hearts, which is
Is that different for the minor suits?
what's different for the minor suits, because you have to bid 5 diamonds or 5 clubs.
Right.
The guideline is more like 29.
Okay.
But Phil, this is before the dummy's hand is out there. So how do you know whether together you have 25, 26 points?
That's a great question, Lee. And the answer is you have to have a conversation. So here's a typical conversation. I open 1 heart, which we'll discover means I have at least 12 points and at least 5 hearts. And then you'll bid 2 hearts, which we'll discover says we have a heart fit and I have 6 to 10 points in support. And then maybe I jump to 4 hearts because I've got 20. And I know we've got plenty. Or maybe I've got 18 and I'm not really sure. Because if you have 6 and 18, we're a little shy. If you have 10 and I have 18, we're in good shape. So I'll bid a heart, you'll bid 2 hearts, and I'll bid 3 hearts, which says, partner, you already told me you have 6 to 10. If you're at the bottom part, just pass. But if you're at the top part, please bid game. So great question. That's what we're going to start to see.
Thank you.
Yep.
Phil,
Yes.
it takes me a long time to analyze how many tricks. If I'm a declare and I'm looking at the dummy, it takes me a while before I can decide how many tricks we can turn.
Yes.
Is there a shortcut?
No.
All right.
Brain transplant.
Yes. I was going to say the shortcut is to be smarter than me.
Get younger.
Yeah, younger helps. So again, there's 2 very different situations for hand evaluation. You don't know whether you have a fit. And the classic situation is you're sitting there thinking, should I open the bidding? And the other time is maybe partner bids a suit and you don't have a fit. So partner opens a heart and you have a singleton heart. Yuck. So here's an example hand. I think we saw this one before. it looks like 9 high card points, right? If partner opens a club, your first thought is yuck. The queen and the ace and the king, they're all worth something. But if partner's values all lie in a long club suit, I'm not very helpful other than that. And the second situation is when you have support for partner's suit. So now partner has opened a diamond or a heart or a spade. All of a sudden you love this hand. You've got 9 high card points, same as before, but now your singleton club is really valuable. So there's 2 different situations. Typically people call it, should I open the bidding? And then when you have support for partner's suit and you're going to be dummy. So here's an example. You open a heart. Nice hand, you know. Partner bids a spade. We get really excited now because all of a sudden our 4 of clubs, our singleton 4 of clubs is really valuable. Partner is going to be the declarer. And if partner has any little tiny clubs in her hand, she can trump them over here. So now, once partner bids a spade, your club shortness is valuable.
Bill, during this process, when you're doing the bidding, this is something that you said last time that was very important. The shortness and length, it can change. You can be constantly reevaluating in exactly this situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That was very important. I never knew that until last time you said it.
When I'm thinking about opening one heart, my shortness in clubs isn't really worth anything. I mean, suppose partner has a couple of hearts, 1 or 2 hearts. If I spend all of my trump trying to trump clubs, it's trump's tricks I'm not going to take as trump. What's in the appendix is a wonderful slide, but we're not going to do it today.
Phil,
Because I figured we'd run out of time.
Phil,
Yes.
with the first example, when you bid 1 club and then you have,
When
4
partner bid
diamonds.
1 club.
right, 4 diamonds, 4 hearts and 4 spades. What is your response as responder? Is it the spades?
We'll get to that.
Okay, fine.
My mom would have said, bid your 4 card suits up the line. So
Really?
my mom would have bid a diamond, hoping partner rebid a heart or a spade.
Right, but
I'm sorry.
But
go ahead.
as responder, you only have basically 1 response because you only have 9 points.
Correct. And in today's modern world where everybody bids super aggressively, you just ignore the diamonds and you bid a heart. But I don't know, we'll talk about that.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So here's the 10% to remember. Opener counts high card points and length. The high card points, ace, king, queen, jack, 4, 3, 2, 1. And length, you add 1 for the 5th card, the 6th card, and so on. And dummy to be counts high card points. And if you have a fit, you can count shortness points because partner will be able to trump losers in your hand. In your dummy. So again, the goals of bidding are to answer 2 questions: what suit and how high, and point count is what's going to help us evaluate whether to keep going or stop. And what we'll do today is in the coaches' rooms, we have as many as 8 hands to play as usual. What I'd like to do, they're going to be pre-bid like in the past. So when the hand comes up, the bidding will already be there. What I would like the coach to do is kind of lead a discussion of, okay, how many points did opener have? How many points did responder have? And, you know, discuss the bidding a little bit. And I know we haven't really done bidding yet, but the idea of today is to start to get a sense of how do we know whether our hand is bad, good, really good. And I'll warn you that some of the contracts today might not make, but as my mom said, down one is a good bid.
So we're supposed to play it in all before we discuss it, or are we supposed to?
What I would recommend is the hands will appear. We're all gonna
Right.
sit south. So the hands will appear with an opening lead and you'll see your hand and Dummy's hand.
Okay,
And so I'd like, the people in the room to discuss how many points do you see in opener's hand? And then once opener made a bid, how many points do you see in responder's hand?